Before we get started, I want to thank our community partner, Epilepsy Foundation of America, and sponsors Neurelis and SK Life Science. Thank you so much for believing in this podcast, for making conversations like this possible, and giving us a space to talk about our epilepsy what the F moments. Okay, here we go. Hey guys, welcome to What the F. I am so excited about today's guest, Justice Bartley. He is a former NBA player development coach, no big deal, with like a history of even being on the Bucks in 2021 when they won the championship, and also is now launching a new career in tech, and I can't wait to dive into that. But more importantly, just an amazing human overall. Justice, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I love this introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, I just appreciate you coming on to talk about this, just because, like, I mean, I'm so curious as to what your journey with like sharing your epilepsy looked like, especially in athletics. Like, because that's not the thing that like I think about like how like, oh, I can, like, if I'm postictal, like, and I need to work, I can work from the couch, right? But if you're playing basketball, like, you can't really play it from the couch. So like and you've played in college, and like, you know, I just want to hear what that all looked like for you, you know, growing up with epilepsy and figuring it out in the athletic world.
Yeah, that started for me. I was introduced to basketball early on and just fell in love with it from the get-go. It felt like it was game. Almost, yeah.
I love it so much. I love basketball. I feel like it could be a metaphor for like everything.
Everything.
Like, yeah.
And it's something. It's funny because as some of my friends who are 10, 15 years older than me, as they continue to get older themselves, like they're still playing. So it's a game, you know, that you can play for as long as you can.
Yes.
And it's just super enjoyable.
Or even just shooting around. Like there's a, you know, basketball hoop near me in the park, and like just taking a little break and just going and like shooting around for a little bit. You know, it's just such like, there's so much mental clarity, I feel like, that comes from, I don't know, even just being by yourself, you know?
Exactly. And that's actually where I found another like layer to the love of basketball that I had. I enjoy learning, but I was never really a fan of like the institutions of school, like sitting down, you know, learning. But
you don't those antiquated systems? I don't understand.
Exactly.
We haven't changed them in like centuries, but
yeah, you know, it's not outdated as technology keeps moving.
Right. Not at all.
But my parents, they played a big role in that. They were so well balanced with sports and making sure that I got my education. So, you know, every day in school, like that was the one thing I always looked forward to. And so, yeah, they had these goals. Hey, you have to meet these requirements before you can even touch a ball. So for me, it was like, okay, box checked, done, easy.
Nice. You know? Yeah, they found your incentive. Yeah.
Exactly right.
That's awesome.
And my extended family and my family have been playing basketball at all types of levels, and I was exposed to greatness at a very young age. So seeing some of my uncles on TV or playing in sold out arenas didn't become a surprise as I got older. It just became something that was like expected. And and so that's what,
wow.
Yeah. So you can imagine like a young kid.
This is the norm. Yeah, this is the norm growing up. Yeah.
Exactly.
What teams did your uncles play for?
Oh, they played for a few. Some of them played for the Rockets, the Hawks, Celtics, the Trailblazers. Yeah,
you had it. Okay, we're gonna circle back to Trailblazers, because you had quite an amazing experience there that I've read about, and I can't wait to dive into. So how old were you when you were diagnosed with epilepsy, and like when did it start to integrate into your basketball world, like your favorite place?
I was diagnosed at 13. I walking to class, I didn't feel too well, and Initially, the nurse thought that I had an asthma attack, and because she got there like well after as well.
You mean after the
But
seizure
after the
or?
seizure,
Oh, okay.
and I had two more seizures before I had to, get admitted to a hospital. They ran numerous tests,
Sure.
and that diagnosis was epilepsy.
Wow.
And of course, like that rocked my world.
Yeah.
Entering, and that was eighth grade. Entering that eighth grade year, I I felt like I was doing my thing when it came to basketball. I felt like I could play, run all day,
Sure.
never out of breath. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's this huge shift, and I I just knew that I had to make adjustments.
What
Um,
were those adjustments? Like, what do like you say there's a shift, and I know what you're saying because I made a life shift too. I think we all did a diagnosis, but like, what were do you remember? I know it's eighth grade, so, but like your specific adjustments you had to make.
yes, for one, at that age, you have like that. It's a weird time in general for kids,
It
in middle school.
is, oh my God, it's a
Yeah,
rough, I've always said if I had to do brain surgery or middle school over again, I would choose brain surgery every time because it's just so much there. And I taught middle school too, and you
mm,
just want to like hug all those kids and be like, I promise it gets better. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, we'll circle back to that too.
Yeah.
But it was the adjustment of feeling like I knew everything I needed to learn again in class. Like I love learning, and now I have to take my tests in a different classroom because I need extra time. And that
Mm,
feeling of being isolated or feeling of being different.
yeah.
Now when I'm playing, I have to sit out. Like it feels like
Mm,
I can only um, play for like 4 to 6 minutes at a time
mm.
before I start seeing spells. And
Wow.
and then again, at a young age, you're already going through so many different changes, but
Totally.
like for me, it was the change of having to understand my body in a totally different way.
Hmm.
Um, Knowing
Yeah,
what
it's just
spells are.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
huge added thing to an already tumultuous time. Yeah.
exactly right. So as I'm seeing these spells, I'm not really sure what they mean.
What do you
Um,
mean? Can you describe that? What you mean by
so
spells?
exactly.
Because I love how we
When
all
I
have
would,
names. We all have different names for our own epilepsy stuff, right?
true. That's true.
And that's okay. Like, I think people get so mad. They're like, "That's not called a spell." I'm like, if I want to call a spell, it's my fucking spell. So, so when you say spell, what does that mean for you?
For me, that means seeing the black, white, and purple spots,
Okay.
like little dots that kind of come up
Yep.
in my through my sight,
Yep.
and that happens through what I had to learn was that happens through complete exhaustion. Like when I push myself to
Mm,
that point, that's when I need to almost just take a minute for my brain to kind of catch up with me at the same time.
totally.
And yeah, and that it just again, like I said, like added that layer of understanding. And another change was the dynamic in the locker rooms that
Mm,
I would have at that time, and just continue to have with no matter which team I was on. It's the process of telling your coach, hey, like I have this condition. And at that point, now I'm developing the skill of accountability, because now I'm telling the coach, hey, be reassured. I will let you know if I need to come out of the game or if I'm not feeling well. So now I have to hold
mm-hmm.
myself accountable, so that he can continue to give me that trust. And it's the same thing with my teammates. Like, hey guys, like I want to go as hard and as far as you, but sometimes, my brain or my body won't really let me.
Yeah.
And it's that type of understanding that I get met with, which is great. I've had great teammates.
Wonderful.
But at the same time, it's something that is never ideal. You never want to almost disclose like, hey, before we get real cool, with each other,
Totally.
here's my little thing that like I hope you guys aren't, afraid of.
Right, exactly. The
Yeah,
disclaimer. You're like,
exactly.
quick disclaimer. But I love how you said it helped me develop the skill of accountability. I want to pause on that because, like, that I've never looked at it that way, but it's so true.
Oh
Because
yeah,
now, like, you kind of have to, I mean, we have to hold ourselves to a different standard. And a lot of times it's a higher standard than
exactly.
other people because we know that like in a second everything can just change for us, and that's
Exactly.
true for everyone in the world, but for us it's just like a little bit, the probability is a little higher.
Exactly. And I think that's the lane that I continue to stay in.
Mm.
And with so a co-founder of my nonprofit, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second,
Yes,
Spencer.
I can't believe I missed that in the intro, my bad. i
Oh,
love I love this nonprofit.
yeah. It's 1 in
One
26
in
Athlete Foundation. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh man.
I'm so sorry. Oh man. Okay. Yes, which we will definitely get to. Thank you for helping my epileptic brain remember things that like I love.
Yeah, and that's the lane that we like to stay in, and that's why we feel so unique, not as just epileptics, because man, there's something about epilepsy with like having almost using it as a superpower. But then you combine that with sports and what sports teaches
Mm.
people in general. That
Mm-hmm.
intersection again is very unique, and
Tell
it's
me
the
more about
skills.
that. Tell
Yeah,
me more about that intersection. I love that you saying like using it as a superpower, which I definitely want to hear more about that. And then like the intersection at athletics, like because for
yep,
me it's like like for me it's an added fear every time I go for a run. I kind of have to just be like, it's happened before. If you had a seizure on a run, but or even when I go like shoot hoops in the park or something, like there's like an added fear for me, and I don't look at it as a superpower in that circumstance, and I want to. So tell me what your thought process is there.
So I started seeing this as a superpower when I realized it forces me to embrace how different I am. And it lets me lean in, not just to epilepsy itself, but to all parts of me that I feel are unique and different. So I'm no longer afraid of what I don't understand or know. So for me, that's yeah,
I
like because it all translates.
I need
it,
this written down because it's so good, and I know I will forget it. Not because of the power. It's so powerful, but my brain is just like I will never remember that, but I want to hang on to it. So like I need a
so,
pillow. I need to put on a pillow, and it's just like in my living room.
but it's literally that example. For me, it impacts my memory a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If and it forced me to be present so that I can
Yes.
really remember everything while I'm here. And as that moment's gone, there's still, those fleeting parts that I don't that I want to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And that allowed me to really lean into photography. Like I love like that creative side of myself. And so like I'll take pictures or I'll capture moments,
Mm-hmm.
not to really put out, on Instagram, but really for myself. It's like, yeah, I love
Yes.
that moment and I want to be able to remember that.
Yes.
And yeah, and
I
it's
think that is
it's
a huge thing and you're not the first person with epilepsy that taught me that trick, was just like take the photos for yourself because you'll go through them and then you'll remember those days a lot better. And
exactly.
it's like I'll go through phases where I forget to take the photos. But when I remember, it's so much fun, like I was just
Exactly.
looking through photos of my husband like being funny with one of our dogs, and it was from like a few days ago, and I had had a seizure the day before, and I was like, I do not remember this. This is fucking hilarious. Like,
Exactly.
and I think that's so, like you said so much there. It helps you be more present, you know,
Hmm.
and I think that's so true for us, just because it's like we know that the present, again, we know the present can change, and we also know that,
Exactly.
I don't know, for me, it's like if I'm not having a seizure or recovering from one, then this is a good moment. And
Exactly.
not to say, and not in a toxic positive way, not to like, take away from, there's still hardship obviously in life, but like it's also not a moment where I'm not there. And so it's, I don't know, I wasn't diagnosed till I was 32, and so it made me more appreciative like as an adult. But it
Yeah.
sounds like you got there like real young, and you're like this wise one. Like, you're like, I'm 13 and I am a sage, so
Well, it definitely took some practice, and
yeah.
that's where again, like we embrace that intersection. So like for me, that for or at least for us,
Mm-hmm.
Spencer and I, that intersection is the uniqueness. Um, Basketball or the sports that we play, you get all these skills taken away from that, like teamwork and again, accountability,
Yep.
and even like, empathy and all these other areas. But because we also have epilepsy, we are, it just makes us think a little differently. Like we have to like check boxes along the way. So
Mm-hmm.
early on, I also had to understand being responsible is not just something that is a benefit for myself. By me being responsible and taking my medicine on time and doing it consistently, another skill that we had to embrace and learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I'm learning this wasn't just for me, but it was also because I'm on the court sharing, you know, possessions with my teammates. I'm out here challenging each like the rest of us to get better. Hopefully, of course we score on one possession and we get a stop on the other end. It's like they depend on me to do my job at that time, and I know I'm in the best frame of mind because I did what I had to do before the game started or that morning. And it's all
Wow.
these things that continue to build up over time. So years later, now that I'm, building this startup and I have all these team members, I'm also being able to apply the same things that I learned when I was just a teenager.
Yeah. I mean, I've never thought about it that way, that like I'm not just doing this for me. Like as a team sport, you're doing it for your teammates. You're taking care of yourself because that's what teammates do. And it kind of can extend, to whether that's like a relationship with your dog or a relationship with your partner, or, like it
Right.
kind of, it's that whole thing. Like I'm taking care of me so that like we can do whatever it is together. And it really applies to all of life. And that's very huge. Like, wow.
Exactly.
I thank you so much for that, because I am, whew, I'm taking that and running with it. That is good. Literally, I am literally going to go run with that in my head. So,
Well, I also want to be able to share the other side of that. Like even how I
yes,
got to that point.
yes.
Um, that was through, and this is something I know a lot of other epileptics can share um, this experience with me. Um, is because I was stubborn. So I was very resistant to embracing this unique side of myself and my
Mm,
diagnosis. And
yeah.
I man, the way that it overwhelmed the other parts of my life, like now that I'm looking back on it,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that is just very important for me to share. And
Yeah, when you say overwhelmed other parts of your life, what do you mean by that?
so what I mean is, the more I was resistant to my epilepsy, like my
Mm-hmm.
condition,
Sure.
the more those sour thoughts, came about, not just with epilepsy, but in other areas. I use that as like something to like a crutch.
Sure.
So whether it be me playing and knowing I had to come out, it's like, okay, well, man, if I didn't have epilepsy, then I know I could be playing right now. And
Yeah.
instead, looking back, it was like, no, it's probably because there was a better lineup on the floor that, would have just
Sure.
been better for doing the game.
Totally.
And even
Totally.
outside of sports, it's, oh man, well, and this relationship didn't work out because, I had epilepsy and all these other things. And you just start,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want that thing to be, again,
Like the
like pouring
scapegoat for
into,
everything.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. It's one of those things that's like, because sometimes it is the reason, but
That's true.
it's not always the reason. And I think, like, wow, you and I have had this awesome conversation so far about like when you accept epilepsy and like view it from multiple dimensions, like the acceptance of it is so difficult. And I know I went through that. Like, when I first started dating after I was diagnosed, I like lied. I didn't tell anyone, like
Yeah.
I was like, this was legitimately my plan. I was like, okay, I will not tell them. They will fall in love with me, and then I'll tell them. Like,
Yeah.
I actually thought that would work. Like,
Exactly.
it's
The
such a
whole
like,
plan.
there's no rationale to it, and there just wasn't rationale in that thinking. But like, I think it's really common for us to, whether like I hid it and you blamed it, I think both those things are like really, really common things that don't necessarily go away once you've accepted it. Like, and that's okay too, because like for me, I always say acceptance is very fluid. Like, it comes and goes. Like, some days, you will push the limits and be like, I will be fine,
Yeah.
and then I have a seizure, or maybe I don't, but it's still like a little bit of the denial and lack of acceptance of it. And I
That's
really
so
appreciate you
true.
bringing that up, because it's not all like sunshine and roses and, sage thoughts from Justice.
And my seizures are focal. They changed the name like 25 times.
I know, I can't keep track either. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So
So,
whatever you say it is, that's what it is. Okay.
so when I first got diagnosed, they were complex partial seizures, but
Okay.
now I believe they're focal onset or focal offset impaired seizures.
Damn, see, you know what you're talking about. I couldn't have done that. So, and I have the same type of seizure.
Oh, okay.
So,
Good.
yeah.
So you would know, these are very invisible conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and there was just so many feelings attached with no one who looks at me sees my condition. And then, oh man, sorry, because now I'm going all over the place. But
No, you're good.
there were times, yeah, like, and this is something that I hope for everyone listening, they get this across. Advocate for yourself, advocate for epileptics, and find the right doctors who understand, who are not just understand your diagnosis and your condition, but understand you. And the reason why I say that is because with these invisible conditions, and I'm 6'5", I get in the gym, I'm pretty a strong guy, and but you look at me at face value and there's nothing that's there, there's nothing that's
Right.
concerning at all.
Right.
And I knew some things were off, but I say all this to say I had to make sure that I got with the right doctors. My mom at that age too, she made sure if something was, my moods were off and things just
Mm-hmm.
weren't right, got on to the right medication, the right amount, all of
Yeah.
that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But going back to these examples of me ignoring all of that is because I didn't want to let my team down, but I also knew that I didn't feel like I had any excuses or there wasn't anyone that was, didn't feel like there was anyone that would take the time to say like, hey, it's okay. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
force yourself to go this extra, you know, lap or layer or do that extra sprint, like it's totally fine.
Right.
We're not going to look at you any different. We're not going to, do anything that's going to count you out of whatever's going on. And those are things that, again, that at the time I looked for externally, but over time I had to have these things built in within myself. And again, these are the skills that I'm sure anyone who's not even, that has this condition has to embrace. But because we have this condition, now we're forced to build our inner selves, and we're forced to look behind the curtain and, look under the bed, look into the
Yeah.
things that give us that fear so that we can
Yes.
overcome it. And thus that translates into all these other parts of our lives.
Yes.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Damn. Okay, I need to take a moment because it forces us to look into our inner selves, and it really does. I've never thought about that before, even though I've lived that experience. Um,
Right.
and I think, like, while it might not be in basketball, I know myself and a lot of other people with epilepsy are so concerned about the perception of being like unreliable or not
Right.
doing what everyone else is doing, and it's that perception that sometimes can drive our fear, even though we're doing everything we can, you know?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that made me it made me ensure I checked all the boxes too, because I was like, I don't want to leave it up to, if it's going to be that reason, because there are some who are not as informed or educated about epilepsy.
Some, there's a ton. Like, this is,
Yeah, we can
and
call it
you
what
know
it
what?
is.
You know what? Like, I used to be one of those people, and I am embarrassed by it because epilepsy runs in my family, and like, I still did not know what a beast it is until I had it, and I was like, wow, well, I was just a part of that crowd. I was an asshole. Sorry, guys. Like,
For those that aren't as educated,
Yes.
I made sure that it wasn't because of my inability to do my job or inability to or lack of skills to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when it came to effort, that's there, and then when it comes to learning and embracing things that are new, again, I was diagnosed at 13.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to move to a different state as a freshman to a new school with this condition, and I had a seizure in the class.
Oh,
And again, yeah, like those are. It's like I'm coming from that. So when it comes to
yeah.
responsibility, when it comes to a role, whether it be in a career, relationship, or sports, I was like, yeah, like I'm up for the challenge. And again, like these are the things that make us super unique. Where you hear about epilepsy warriors, because like, hey, we're coming from a lot of different areas. We're battling, these conditions, whether they're invisible or visible, and there's so much behind it because we choose to show up every day. You
Mm-hmm.
chose to hop on this podcast with me, despite all the things that may have happened before, and
Mm-hmm.
that those are the things that I love to embrace.
I love how you said that. Like, I embrace the challenge. I take on the challenge, and just reframing it that way. I feel like I know for me is going to be so powerful because, and there is a balance, right, of taking on the challenge and also being like responsible with your
Yes.
decisions and stuff. But like, I like that reframing of like, okay, I'm going to take on this challenge to, and whether it's like go take a nap because like God, I hate doing, which I know sounds so fucking spoiled, but like you hate when like it's kind of required by your body to go take a nap. You're kind of angry at
Yeah.
it. At least I am. But it's kind of doing those things like you were talking about earlier, just like to not only take care of yourself, but then take care of whatever it is that you are working on.
Exactly.
Whether it's I don't know, whether you're making a blanket out of your knitting or something, and it's like I really want to knit, but I can't. If I'm having a seizure, gotta relax. I don't know. I'm just trying to take
Exactly.
it away from the sports metaphor because I know not everyone's into sports like we are. Okay, so how did you take so because you played college ball, which is like
Mhm.
what at UVA, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. Like, and
Amazing.
then, and so I don't know, like how to me, like my brain just sort of breaks when I'm like someone with epilepsy played a college sport, like, because it's just so from what I know of and never experienced, it's just so demanding.
It
Um,
is.
yeah. How did so like I just want to talk about like the move also from like college basketball to then coaching in the NBA and like kind of what that all looked like for you and how you managed that because I'm still just like what like how who what
Yeah. So, um, I got to UVA, and um, that was such a fun experience. And though my time on the court was limited, I want to put that out there for sure. But the things that weren't limited that people don't see are the things that happen behind the scenes. So it's still the lifts that I'm required to attend. It's the practices. It's the preparation. And again, like it's something where when you're on a team like that and you're moving to accomplish a goal, we are all on the same accord. And I think that was the greatest thing to embrace. I came in with great leaders. Malcolm Brogdon, Anthony Gill, Evan Nolte. You had so many guys that um, I used to watch from a distance, but they, forced us to level up our game and embrace each other.
how cool.
And oh, it was the culture. That culture there, it was and still is so strong. And
I did not know that.
having,
That's awesome. I love hearing
yeah,
that. Yeah.
no, it was something that's so unique to be a part of. And over the years, we continued to get better. My first year, we had a great run to the Elite Eight, and
No big deal.
no big deal. I mean, so that's the thing too. Okay, so mind you, yeah, I'm growing up seeing all these, family members, have fun, do their thing,
Yeah.
and I get to college, and man, that's I have been so blessed. Like God has, like I feel like I'm God's little angel. He just like, okay, here's some magic, for your life,
I love it.
because
Here's some magic.
here's some magic, okay? Um, because in high school, I also played with great guys. We won and played against great teams. I've just been around this thing so much at a very high
Yeah.
level. And we continued to get better in school. And it was almost like an epiphany for me. It didn't happen overnight, but I'd say like I did hit a bit of I was in the valley. I hit like what felt like rock bottom.
Mm.
And um, I
Why
wanted to,
and
but
how?
yeah, because I truly love playing. I love playing basketball, and it was always my release for the frustrations in other parts of my life. That at the
Totally.
time I continued to use epilepsy. It was like, man, like I'm at
Hmm.
school and I have all these classes. I took the SAT when I was in middle school before I got diagnosed. I love learning. So
Hmm.
even in elementary school, I had the chance to skip a grade, but parents decided not to. So you take these gifted classes, or what they call gifted classes, and there was an opportunity to take the SAT early. So I took it and scored well enough where I didn't have to take it in high school. And oh,
Okay.
there's so many guys, there's so many layers to this story.
What?
um, yeah, so I,
So you're like, I loved the SAT because I was really good at it. So
well, again, like here's where like my common themes like really lie. My dad always taught me from the moment I was diagnosed, it was you can either get bitter or you can get better. And that's been sticking with me my entire life.
yeah.
Because Landis, when it was my senior year, I wanted to go play in the Ivy League, and because you know, I call it pride, but I
Sure.
someone told me the year before that I wasn't smart enough to go, and that I would have,
Oh,
yeah, and that I would
mistake.
have mistake.
Yeah.
Like I'd be challenged to play and compete with that curriculum, and so yeah, went to go
What
Ivy
idiot
League.
says that? I'm sorry, but who says that to a child?
Thank
Like,
you.
okay.
And
Sorry, I'm getting
it
real
shouldn't
angry right
be.
now. I need to calm down.
And again, like these are the things that you can get better, you get better.
Mm-hmm.
And through my own spiritual walk, I like the forgiveness has played a huge role, because
Mm.
that's allowed me to continue to go. Like the more I got held, like stuck on that, it kept me in place, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not to say what they wanted the outcome to be, but for me, there was no benefit in staying there.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
um, but I
It's
bring this
helping
up.
yourself. Forgiving others is just kind of helping. It's letting your freeing yourself
It's
of that
exactly right.
whatever it is, and it's like it doesn't matter. You don't have to tell that person you forgave them. It's not about them. It's about you. So I
Exactly.
love that. I love that you're like it. It kept forgiveness kept me going. Like that's huge.
Exactly. So I commit to Cornell at the time, and then they tell me like,
Dang.
"Hey, I have to take the ACT because they have different requirements versus the
Mm,
rest of college." And I take it, literally fall a point short. Um, yeah,
like
one
who
point
cares? Oh
short,
my god.
and because I haven't taken it the whole time, and then
Right.
the next up and coming test was in 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks straight, I studied like
Oh, that's
crazy to take
so
that test.
unfair. So you unfairly had to take it with 2 weeks notice and got a point short. Cornell, are you listening? Okay, sorry. Sorry, I'll stop.
So again, like I chose to get better, and that's what led me down the path to going to UVA and.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, to bring it full circle about college, it felt like I was at rock bottom because I was this kid in high school who I didn't really have to try. Like, and the work is there, the effort is there, but the challenge, it was the first time I met this new level of, challenges. And
Sure.
whether it be in school, sports, everything. And it felt like this is not how I dreamt my life to turn out. I'm not playing. My grades felt like they were subpar, and I didn't know what I was going to end up doing after I finished school.
Yeah.
And then I made it less about me and more about the impact that I could leave, no matter what the outcome might be. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when things clicked. I I was like, there's a huge platform because all eyes are on us. We are one of the top ranked basketball teams in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to be paying attention to how we play, to what we say, how we do everything. And come to find out, the Epilepsy Foundation of Virginia's headquarters were in the same city that I went to school, in Charlottesville.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, I started working with them, and that's when I really felt this layer of freedom. That was, yeah, it just felt so freeing. It felt like I was floating a lot of times, but I was able to speak to kids at middle schools and elementary schools because, again,
Yeah.
they get diagnosed at such a young age. And I wish I had someone there that made me feel like it was cool to embrace, It's like, it's okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
totally fine. And
I think that's huge. I think just finding people to look to and be like, well, they're doing what either I want to do or something close, or, just having that inspiration, I think is huge. And that's so awesome. So awesome that
yeah,
you chose to partner, with, you said it was Epilepsy Foundation of Virginia, correct?
that's correct.
Yeah. Because sometimes states have, sectors of it, but that's so awesome.
Exactly.
That's so great. Just to
Yeah,
start being
and
that person for other people.
exactly. And I wanted to, I didn't just want to talk the talk, literally, having speeches and, going to talk to kids, I wanted to
Yeah.
walk the walk too. And for me, what that looked like was going after my dreams, no matter what it felt like I wasn't equipped with at the time. And
Mm.
because I know, again, God's gonna speak a little magic. Like it felt like this was something that if I didn't have what I thought I needed, then I knew I'd get it along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to play. I wanted to I wanted to graduate early because the next I was gonna graduate in the winter time. And I was like, UVA had this program, you can get a degree or master's in 1 year. It's like, it makes
Awesome.
sense,
Hell yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to, especially as an athlete, like they recommend that we take 12 credits. So like 4 classes each semester.
Sure.
And for me to graduate early, I did 2 years in one. So I took 8 classes each semester. Yeah. I
Okay. How?
So because they do max you out. So I got maxed out
Yeah.
at 15 credits, and I took the extra
Okay.
3 credits at the community college
Oh, smart.
nearby. It was not easy at the time. I'm still doing everything I can to make ends meet. I'm working a job. I'm still going to practices. I'm still, again, this is less about me at this point. So I'm really freeing myself. Every day I showed up
Yeah.
at practice, I was like, how can I make sure that these guys also help? How can I help them fulfill their dreams while at the same time helping me do mine? So
I mean,
there's
that's like
guys,
the truest form of a teammate.
I like to think so.
It
Exactly.
is. It is. It absolutely is. How can I help better my teammates and myself? I think that's, yeah.
And to double down on that, it's like really being a star in that role. Like my role was not to shoot threes. That was Kyle Guy, who just retired and is on the coaching staff at UVA. Ty Jerome, who's playing with the Cavs. DeAndre Hunter, who's playing with the Hawks. Like that's their job. Okay,
I
that
guess
was
they were
their job to
okay
do
at
that.
it. It sounds like
Yeah,
they were pretty, yeah, okay.
yeah.
Very generous of you to give that to them.
But
So is that
it's
how you transition then from playing to coaching? Because it kind of like it almost sounds like a little like coaching like sprinkled in to this play, like if you're looking out for those other players' development, that's what a coach does, right? And then like so where did that transition come in for you?
Yeah, so that came in. So graduated. At the time, I decided to go somewhere else to go play.
Hmm.
And right before the season starts, I get a season-ending injury, like 2 weeks before the season started. And again, you can get bitter, you can get better. So I got home. I was rehabbing, excuse me,
Hmm.
and my my dad's also a coach, so I didn't want to coach at all because I'm like, I'm good. Okay, I want stability to live in one location, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but I found myself watching film and watching some of my old teammates, friends, and sending them some of the thoughts that I had about their game.
Mm.
And one of the guys said, like, hey, you should get paid to go do this. Like that was pretty good information. So I then become a grad assistant at University of Miami. And then I'm like, again, I do the same thing actually. I take extra classes because I didn't want to stay 2 years in grad school at a private
Hmm.
school in Miami.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so graduated, but COVID hit, and at the time didn't know what I was gonna do.
Right.
The guys in the NBA also didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, the whole world was like,
Exactly,
what do we, yeah, totally.
and that was another critical point, but it forced me to sit still and
Mm.
just continue to embrace that stillness, but do it where I was really preparing for what I didn't know was coming. So that was like spending time with family, that was making sure that I was still challenging myself to learn, to just continue to be sharp. So I ended up becoming the access that I had and the resources that were available to me were amazing. So I continued to just learn and educate myself about things I didn't know about basketball, no matter how long I've been a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
It was
I think
it was
that's a
pretty
very
cool.
humble and successful way to go about something, is that like you can always learn. You can always
Always.
learn more. Yeah.
The
That's huge.
moment, yeah, the moment that changes, it's like something's off.
Yeah.
And
Or you're wrong. The moment that you think you learned
exactly,
everything, you're wrong. Like,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
And I, it's November or it's October, but I end up, yeah, getting a position with the Bucks as an intern. And yeah, things from that point were like off to the races. It was,
Yeah.
yeah,
They did pretty well that year, I think, right?
they did pretty decent.
Was that fun? I gotta ask, just as like, was that like, what was that like, just being a part of a championship team?
That was great. Again, so I studied sociology for my undergrad, and that's
Okay.
just a study of people in different environments, like how they
Mm-hmm.
respond in these different environments. So you're basically like it's like
That's
the
really
art of
smart.
observing, you
Yeah,
know?
well, you're very good at that because of all these observations, that's why you keep having these like big moments of truth, you know? So when you said sociology, I was
Exactly.
like, well, that tracks 100%. Like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
exactly. So it was great to see how the front office very cohesive, everybody on the same page. The coaching
Mm-hmm.
staff, they've been there for a while as well. And the team, the core part of that team, has also been part of that entire organization for the longest time. So,
Mm-hmm.
if anything, it felt like the timing was perfect. We ended up getting Drew Holiday that year, and the chemistry on that team was just special.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Milwaukee's not a huge market. And when I say market, there's not a huge city. So
Yeah.
a lot of the time spent with each other was pretty intimate. So you have those opportunities to grow your chemistry, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
with the staff or some of the guys on the
Yeah.
team. Yeah, so everyone was just locked in. It was still like we weren't too far removed from COVID, so we still had these different rules in place. So everyone was making a sacrifice, getting tested every day, twice a day,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so there was a lot of commitment to doing what we did that year. And so I'm glad that it ended the way that it did, because everyone
Mm-hmm.
across the league did the same thing. But
Yeah.
to have that feeling at the end, to know like to see how the impact on the city and state, um, how that championship had the impact, like that was great.
Totally. Totally. I mean, that had to just be so special just to be a part of. And then you went on to do something even more special with the Trailblazers, which you said your uncle played for them too. So like now there's like we've got cyclical connections. I love this. It's so
Yeah,
fun.
exactly.
And that's actually I think I remember I saw an article about like the Trailblazers supporting like an epilepsy cause because of you, which is like really cool. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, um that was such a special moment. One of my good friends, Amara, she was really the person who put the whole thing together. But it isn't something that's celebrated. It isn't something
Mm,
that people are quick to again, like tell everyone about, especially
yeah.
in sports, because there's this underlying feeling of something happening after I share, my condition. Like
Yep.
you may not think that I'm capable of doing my job. You may not think all these other thoughts, right?
Yep. Totally. I mean, it
And
goes back to that perception and then the fear that people have of epilepsy. Yeah.
exactly. So I saw that as it being flipped on its head. Everybody, we got to the arena that night for the game, and everyone wore purple ribbons. It wasn't
Wow.
just, yeah, like some of the guys who weren't playing, they wore it. The coaching staff wore it. The entire organization, the front office. So I'm
Wow.
looking at my boss's boss support me and this whole, um, community of epileptics,
Yeah.
the people that were working the game.
That's
Like
amazing.
it was, yeah, it was something that was so special.
Because you just don't
And
see, like you said, and I love how you said it's just not celebrated. It's not
it's not
something that's
celebrated.
celebrated. Yeah. And like
Yeah,
giving that kind of attention to it is really, and being like, yeah, one of ours, here we go. We're going to show up. I think
exactly.
even if it's just something as small as a purple ribbon, like that
That's it.
is, it's like right now, like let's take that. Let's take anything we can. And I think from a big organization like that, like the Trailblazers, like that's huge. So,
Exactly.
wow, I can't imagine just like I feel overwhelmed by it, like in a good way, and I wasn't
Exactly.
there, so I don't know if I'm projecting, but
Oh no, because and again, like you said, it didn't have to be this huge thing where, um, so yeah, they actually took it another step further during the game. They briefly talked about it, um, but
wow,
it didn't have to be like them rolling out the purple carpet,
totally,
you know,
yeah,
but it was so unique because um and so special because of the work that goes into what my responsibilities are, and
mm,
that's the constant travel. Like I signed up to work with the best, in what I feel like is the best league and the best sport in the world, and it came with everything that epileptics have to avoid. And that's, yeah, all of my
yep.
triggers were everything that I did every day,
What can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I know your career even went to the Lakers,
Mhm.
and like, which means you're like playing basketball, with the Lakers, which to me is just like what, like, um, but what triggers specifically like were a part of this, of being a personal development coach?
Yeah, it is, um, not just helping the players with workouts or helping support, the coaches with workouts. It's that I may be required to be on the court with them. So there may be times where we need an extra body out there. Um, I fill that role. We may have players coming back from injury. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
are playing low minutes. Some of them are rookies that need to get extra reps. And so we have these games or these like 5-on-5 runs where they have to stay in shape, continue to prepare to get slowly put right back into the rotation, and we're the extra bodies that make up, for to complete the 5-on-5 runs or 4-on-4 or
Sure.
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so like that's it's the physical stress on top of the mental, emotional, all these social, like it's all these things combined.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
we're
then you're
also
traveling,
oh
right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, so like we're
Like,
traveling,
whew.
constantly in and out of the city, up and down off of a plane. So not only do you have to stay hydrated, but I didn't even realize a lot of my triggers had to do with abrupt, quick changes in climate. So we're coming from,
Mm,
sun shining 75 in LA to now we're
mm-hmm.
playing in Denver. And then the next day we have to go to Atlanta, then Orlando, Miami, Boston
Yeah.
on one road trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like poking a seizure.
Yeah.
It's like, are you gonna come out
It's
now? Like,
it's
yeah,
that the
because
lack of sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there is a connection in the brain between barometric pressure too, and neurological conditions. It's a migraine trigger, so it makes sense that it like affects, seizure frequency as well.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, and so like I just how was your mental health? Like I hate separating mental health from any type of health, but like what was that like when you were, doing this amazing job, but also like trying to survive this amazing job? What did that look like?
Yeah. Um, that looked like embracing the times to sit still. The quick
Mm-hmm.
moments that I would get them, I'd capture them, embrace them as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be taking from the time we leave the arena to getting to the hotel for on the road, taking some time just to sit still,
Yeah.
and being in the moment, trying to find a balance and some grounding. Um, and again, like I got all these reps through my time from when I was in high school and college. And now at
Mm-hmm.
this point in my career, it was putting all those things to use.
Mm-hmm.
And because there were times like, because the pressure is there. And a big reason
I bet. I mean, it's the
behind
NBA. Like,
exactly.
like, yeah, that's pressure.
And it's not just coming from the players or the coaches, it's everybody. Everyone, it's like we're all the entire organization, again for like my time with the Bucks, we are all on the same accord.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I need to make sure that I'm doing what I can do because wherever I am in this system, it impacts the next guy and impacts the next guy. And eventually, like if you think like that, my decisions do impact how LeBron is prepared for the game. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, like,
yeah, it's like, okay.
did you say something about pressure? I don't know. Like, what?
And yeah, and these are guys, they're and it's no longer, which is a beautiful part about the journey, it's no
Mm-hmm.
longer, okay, like this is this huge, uh icon in LeBron, but it's like it's the relationships you build every day with people that you're helping make their dreams come true. So it's Braun
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to Max Christie, who had the time the rookie. It's like how can I help the rookies get better to have a fulfilling career and all these types of things that come along with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the importance of being mentally equipped or to be balanced is critical. And at that level, every player does it, every coach should be doing it. And especially with having epilepsy, I knew that I needed this to be at my best. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
Wow.
yeah,
So what so now you've transitioned from that career, right? To another
yes,
one. Um which like you can talk a little bit to, but not a lot about because
yeah,
I had to Google this. It's like stealth startup is what it's like
yeah,
referred to, right? And then I was like, I literally thought that was the name of your company because that's how out of this I am. I was like, oh, stealth, what does that mean? And I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's not, mm-mm, no.
exactly.
So can you explain, because you know more about this than I do, about what a stealth startup is?
Yes. So a stealth startup is a startup that's not public facing yet. So we haven't, doesn't mean that we haven't gone to market, but it means
Mm-hmm.
we are playing, yeah, with a little bit of like, some quiet tones,
Sure.
in the background, just so when we do go to market, we are prepared to, you know, get as much of that market as we can, make sure we're
Totally.
ready for our users and everything else.
And as from what I understand, or at least what Google told me, it also protects like your intellectual property while you are
That's,
creating the technology. Is that
that
correct?
that is right. So
Okay.
some of the things that um, there's certain rules. There's so much that I love this too because I get to learn again. I learn every yeah so much of it.
It
But
is the best, right? I know. I'm the same way. So,
when there's like rules with um, the FTC, the like
All the
how to go about
acronyms.
patents, yeah, all the
Yeah.
acronyms.
Yeah.
Um, like you can't speak publicly about what you're doing for a certain time period. After that time period, anything you say can't be patented. It can't be protected. And yeah, and so the good news is filed patents on Monday. So we have a provisional patent filing.
Congrats.
Thank you. That was a huge
That's awesome.
milestone for us. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. Very cool. So what
Yeah.
can you tell us about your stealth startup?
Yeah, so we are a monetization marketplace.
The
We
hell does
help.
that mean?
So
Pretend I'm 5. And
actually, you know what? Yeah, exactly.
okay.
So I can tell you this: our mission is to connect people to opportunities that matter most, and we do
Okay.
that by making opportunities intentional. So I've
Mm.
created this way, yeah, within
I
sports and
feel like you
entertainment.
developed this language because it's very on par for justice. like like this is all you, man.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. They
So
are lucky to have you because you are like that is a great branding. Okay, sorry.
hey, I love
Continue.
that. I love that. Our tagline is "Where stars align." So
Oh,
yeah,
I love
so
that. Oh, where stars align. Okay, can't take it,
yep,
guys. It's already taken. Where
yep.
stars align.
So we
That's good.
again, yeah, we make these opportunities become intentional for each user. So within sports, there's multiple roles that people play in sports. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're, let me open it up to entertainment. Whether you're a celebrity, a brand, whoever you are in the ecosystem, there's a
Mm-hmm.
role for you on our platform. Like we've designed the company to have each user feed off of the other. So the more one engages with another, the
Mm-hmm.
more they'll find these opportunities of what they're looking for.
That's
And it's
awesome.
no, it's super cool. And
Yeah.
we,
It's like tailored
yeah,
networking.
it's a little bit of that. Yep,
Okay.
exactly,
Okay. Maybe
exactly.
maybe not, but like it just kind of like I cuz like that happens so often where like and now we have the opportunity for that, right? Because we don't have to be in person for like a networking event. Like I'm old enough to remember those days when it was like 5 o'clock happy hour if you want to network, but now it's like
Exactly.
you can just do it. I love this in like a little in a space, not a little, but in a space curated for that.
Curated for that. And oh, and that's it has not I took some time with it. Um what we're doing is capturing essence. We're not going after the things that are fleeting, very temporary.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the grass is greener type of analogy won't be considered, with what we're building.
Mm-hmm.
So by capturing and focusing on delivering essence to each user, what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing is helping them discover their purpose and also giving them opportunities to fulfill it. So
Mm.
yeah, it's we've taken our time with it, and I'm happy that we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, Q1 of next year, this New Year's, yeah,
Ah.
it's gonna be a lot more revealing, and
Okay.
this is gonna be an exciting time. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
well, hopefully when this publishes, I can also post some info maybe. I don't know
Yes, yes,
yet.
yes.
We won't know, but that's kind of the fun suspense. Um and then you also I really want to touch base on 1 in 26 athlete a little bit more and
Yeah.
what like the mission of that is and what that looks like and how people can be involved or support or participate, just all the offerings that you guys create because it's such a cool concept to like okay, let's talk about athletes and epilepsy.
Yeah.
Let's do it, because I think it can be one of the scarier things.
Exactly. So when people think about 1 in 26, there's the big stat about how many people get diagnosed with epilepsy in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we live at the intersection of sports and epilepsy. So what we're doing is curating events centered around sports. So that could be camps, clinics, tournaments, um, you name it.
Yeah,
They'll be around sports because it's a thing that everyone gathers towards. It's a commonality. That's something that we all can share some interest with. Um,
totally.
and in the same process, we are, offering education and awareness um, and making it cool. Like
Yeah,
yeah, we're bringing some swag to it. We're bringing
I love it.
some type of some culture to having epilepsy and embracing this community. To again have everyone feel like they're not just getting delivered some information, but also being able to participate in this ecosystem that we're continuing to build on.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so amazing. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's just a great way to empower people, living with
Yes.
epilepsy, which it's a hard thing to do just because for all the reasons we just discussed like very thoroughly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have there's an event going on. By the time you guys hear it, it'll be like the next week in Hawaii. But oh yeah,
What?
and we are placing events all over the country this next year. So to stay to stay in
So,
tune,
okay.
follow us.
So in okay, how can we stay in touch with 1 in 26 athletes so we can get our butts to Hawaii?
Yeah. So yeah, you guys can follow us at 1 in 26 athlete on all your socials and um,
I'll drop that handle in the podcast description, so if you want to go check it out, it's right there. Then you should right now.
yes,
What? So
exactly
where?
right.
Okay, so we've got Hawaii in January. What
Mhm.
else do you have anything else on the docket that you can
Yeah,
promote right
so
now? Or
right
I'm just this is
now,
selfish. I'm like, where can I go?
yeah.
This is for me.
So uh, right now we are which would be super like this would be great. We're also opening up an ambassadors program.
Awesome.
So yeah, anyone who wants to participate and be involved at a deeper level with us after you check some things out, reach out to us.
I love
We'll
it.
happily, yeah, this is it's exciting. Anyone from, a young age all the way up to adults. We have some great people that have
Yes.
been with us for a long time, and um, the way that it's like a twist on education. Like again, like these sports references that we've been,
Yeah.
talking about just throughout this podcast, it lands and it's something that people
Mm-hmm.
can resonate with. So yeah, we've got a great group of people helping us and um, making sure that we do right by everybody in this
Mm-hmm.
community, outside the community. It's a
Yeah.
fun time.
Oh, I can just tell like your face is lighting up as you talk, and it's so
Yeah,
fun to
not so
see.
bad.
I'm so pumped for you.
Thank
Um,
you.
well, before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you three questions that have nothing to do with what we were just talking about.
Sweet. Let's do it.
Okay. Number one, what's your favorite color?
Blue, light blue specifically.
Okay, nice. Yes. Um, Number two, what's your favorite thing to do like in your free time?
In my free time,
You're like, I don't have What does free time look like? Did you not hear
well,
I'm starting two things?
yeah. Well, I will say now that I'm not coaching,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a kid in a candy store. So it's like all the things that people don't think are big to me. That's in the
Yes.
fall, going down streets that have a lot of foliage,
Mm-hmm.
seeing all the changing leaves,
Yeah.
and I've never been hiking, so it's doing all those types of things. Like
Yeah. No,
yeah,
hiking, I think, and you're naming nature things too, which I think has a really, like, it's such a refreshing, sort of powerful way to reset. It's just to like walk
that's
outside and
right,
be in nature. So,
exactly.
yeah, I totally get that. And then the third question is, what does it mean to you to be a friend?
To me, it means being reliable. And yeah, not just in a sense where you call them there, but it's deeper than that. It's being able to just be around, you know. I don't always have to say the right things. I don't always have to talk. It's just being
Yeah.
supportive. It's being able to identify the area that I can help fill for you in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course it is, because Justice said it. So
Crazy.
it's like, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time just to chat. This has been so uplifting. And I just appreciate you sharing your experience and being that person who's trying to, make things better for others.
Yeah, oh, thank you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Share some time with you. I know we're supposed to do this in person, so we have to make
I
sure,
know.
yeah, the next time we
Uh,
have to get something else on the next time.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah, let me look into Hawaii.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Well,
No, I
thank you,
appreciate it.
Justice.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much.